From DS Media Studios in Tema, Ghana, this is Two Pesewas. Two Pesewas is a weekly podcast where we cover a range of topics, from buzzing media headlines to music to highlights from the week. Each episode is co-hosted by myself, Peaches, and Eddie.
Welcome to episode 5. We're happy that you're still listening to us. As usual, thank you for all the love and the likes and the shares and all that. So we are really, really grateful for that. And without much ado,
That's
episode 4. Yeah,
episode 5.
Episode 5. Sorry, episode 5. Let's go.
Okay, so in the news this week, I have basically decided to dedicate this segment to French President Emmanuel Macron.
Oh, la, la.
Now, I'm going to start by being fair and saying that I do actually quite like him a bit. I mean, I feel like you don't get to be president of France at age 39 without being on your serious grind.
Right.
Like, I mean, that alone is impressive. I like the fact that he subdued Donald Trump's ego with one hand.
Yeah, I know. I remember that.
Donald Trump, he was like, not up in here. No.
Yeah.
Let me squeeze your hand. And things like that. I also kind of look at him in a sympathetic light because I find his relationship with his wife very suspicious. I feel like he's a victim of grooming and no one helped him because he's a man.
Right.
Honestly. Because, I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, he apparently met his now wife when he was 16 and she was a teacher at his high school.
Yes, she
and
was
she
way
was
older than
40
him.
years old at the time. Now, if he had been female and that was a male teacher, I mean, everybody would have openly condemned the thing and everything.
Absolutely.
And then have the nerve to talk about, but they only started dating when he turned 18. So creepy and yeah,
when you think of it, it is quite strange,
it's very creepy.
Yeah.
And then apparently his parents tried to send him away to somewhere else, and then he finished school there and then came back 2 years later and they got married. I'm like, So anyway, there's a lot to, but my issue here is I find that most of his comments in regards to Africa have been somewhat problematic.
Right.
And so that's what I'm going to talk about. So the first issue was he, at the G20 summit recently, he was asked a question about the Marshall Plan and about the possibility of France developing some kind of Marshall type plan for Africa. And now for those who don't know, the Marshall Plan was what, I didn't do my homework properly.
I don't
okay,
know.
please. I think the Marshall Plan, was it for Japan after World War II or was that for Germany? I think it was Japan.
Okay.
In the aftermath of World War II, after they decided to level the people's country with a bomb, they put together a redevelopment plan which boosted the economy and kind of made Japan what it is today in a way. It gave it the necessary injection of aid and so forth.
Right.
So somebody was saying, asked him if there was a possibility of having something similar for Africa. And he said, more or less, that it's not a matter of money in terms of Africa, and that Africa has a civilization issue. Right. And he said the things we need are rigorous governance, fighting against corruption, and a demographic transition. Because he said, women are having exactly.
Yes. I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
So one that did not go down well for obvious reasons. And then also again, quite recently, this is a week or two ago, he was in Burkina Faso, and he did. Apparently, it's a tradition for French presidents to speak at the University of Ouagadougou. They did a speech, and it was basically even worse than the G20 summit because apparently the students were talking to him, complaining about the conditions at the school, electricity issues, air conditioners were broken, blah, blah, blah. And he was basically saying that he doesn't understand why people are talking to him as if he is their president. Right. And that he is even here to talk about how the paternalistic approach between France and African countries it should end. And basically talking about how we should be more self-sufficient and whatever. But apparently in the course of doing this, he was very sort of demeaning and abrasive. And apparently at one point, the Burkinabe president even got up. And he's like, oh, he must be off to fix the AC.
I know he walked off, but I didn't know that's what he said.
Yeah, when he was gone, I guess, he must be gone to fix the air conditioner kind of thing. And so what I want to say is, I'm basically one of those people where I operate by this principle. I will call my brother a fool all day, but you, an outsider, do not get to insult my family members, right? So I don't necessarily disagree with anything he said, but I feel like it is a bit rich and a bit, I mean, he has a bit of a gall for given the historical, influence, or I shouldn't even call it influence, impact that France has had on Francophone countries.
Exactly.
He is the last person that should be talking about civilization issues, what development is, because you actively contributed.
That's the thing.
That.
You've had a role in the way things have turned out. So you can't just
don't
say things without without having some
because
sort of
part of it is your fault. Like for example, apparently, so France when they were leaving colonization, it was different from the British stuff because they always did indirect rule to begin with. So when we're like, go away, they're like, fine, here are your keys, bye. France was like, if you want us to leave, pay me to go away. So to this day, Francophone countries have to put their foreign reserves at the French treasury. Any mineral resources that are discovered in any Francophone African country, France have first rights to it. If the government doesn't want it, it has to go through a French company. Before you cannot even open your bids to anybody else except French country.
But and yet they pretend like they do nothing, like it's just some sort of your fault. The France still has a strong hold on Francophone
like a
Africa,
vice grip.
Really.
I was even reading in my media class the other day. They cannot even order like television shows directly from, let's say, America and England, dub it themselves and show. They have to get the French dubbed version.
Is that
yes,
wow.
At like three times
still slavery, though.
3 times the cost or something.
That's just ridiculous.
I mean, basic things like that. So you don't now get to turn around and be like, you people need to do better and blah blah blah. How about you
start by
thank you.
Stop by.
So I was very happy when akufo-addo basically.
I know, right?
Here's that. You people say akufo-addo is too known. Here's the advantage of having a too known president.
Good kind of
we
too
know
known.
They see you. You come and you're like, listen. He was basically like, look, we don't really want. Like he really.
Yeah, we're trying to get away from that.
In a cute way, let him have it right there, and he was just like.
Do you see the way he was looking at akufo-addo when he was talking? He was just like.
He was like, ooh, who is this?
I know.
He came for me. Yes.
Maybe he thought akufo-addo would kiss his ass
or something like the other one. No, not up in here. Okay. So that was my little in the news this week.
Yes, that's
Emmanuel Macron wilding out of control.
Yeah. Thanks for that. That's cool. So in the news, it's a bit on a lighter but still sort of heavy note. So an Indian bus passenger was arrested over smelly socks. I'm not
Where
sure.
is this?
This is in India. So the story was that this guy was on the the bus, and then he removed his socks, and apparently the passenger started complaining.
Was arrested though?
Yes, and he was like, you wait. And the passenger started complaining because his socks were so smelly. So at some point they stopped at the police station. I guess they arrested him, and then he's out on bail. So like I mean, when you read the headline or you read the story, it's sort of it's a very funny story. But then for me, it just makes me think about the issues that we have in Ghana as well. And the thing is, I'm always going to relate many of these things to Ghana. Ghana is hot. Ghana is hot. So when you're taking care of, I'm not even going to talk about socks because we don't have. I don't think we have a socks problem. Yeah. But Ghana is hot.
Ours is a pits problem.
Oh my God, that's exactly what I was going to talk about. Like there are too many stinky pits around. I just feel like people are not taking care of themselves. Have you ever gone to the mall when all these JSS and SS people are on vacation? It's like a sweat fest. It's so bad. It smells so bad. Are people not taking care of themselves?
And I remember that, even in life skills class, it wasn't even about deodorant because the books are outdated. They say rub lime under your arm.
I was just going to say, if you don't have money for deodorant, before you go take about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just rub some lime in your pits. And then take a shower.
And add your crotch too.
Exactly. Like this is just out of. For me, I find it actually very offensive. It's the same with body odor, the same with bad breath. You can't come and be you can't come and be talking to me and you have bad breath. Am I supposed to hold my breath till I pass out? Do I tell you? Do I offer you some gum? It's just I feel like people are not being considerate. So really, if you're going to take a shower, please, we've talked about the lime bits already. If you're brushing your teeth, just don't brush your teeth. Brush your tongue as well. Let your tongue be more pink than it's white. Just make sure that you're doing all these things right. And I have a story actually. I requested an Uber. Like for me, I'm just an Uber. I take Uber way too much.
They should send you a Christmas
present.
present.
Know. So I requested an Uber. The guy had rolled up his glasses. It was they were like air conditioned. Whoo! When I got into the car, it was so bad. Like it really smelled of like animal crap. It was bad. It was a hot day, but then I told the driver that, you know what, I have a cold, so could you just roll down the window so that we just get some fresh air.
That's not right. So you're there sweating.
I know, it was just really, really terrible. So my thing is just, Ghana is hot. Let's take care of ourselves. Let's not assault others without offensive smells and get arrested like the Indian guy. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen in Ghana, but let's be considerate.
Half the population would be
I know, it's so bad. People are just so smelly.
Oh, dear.
So let's fix that, and that's my news. Right.
Oh boy. All right. So
song of the week.
Yes, song of the week. And as you saw, I have 2 songs this week.
Me too. I have 2 songs as well. Yeah.
Now, I've had the blues actually since sometime last week. I don't know what triggered it or whatever, but I've been feeling very down. Aww. And so my songs this week are very different from the songs I usually talk about. Okay. Because even misery needs an appropriate soundtrack, if you would. So both these songs are actually from 2 of my favorite artists. I have very eclectic music taste, and these 2 songs will reflect that. And they're both very melancholy, but also very magical in their own way. So the first one is called How My Heart Behaves, and it is by Feist. Now Feist she's a Canadian indie artist. Okay. Her genre is like folk pop, alt rock, things like that. And that song is off her 3rd album. It's called The Reminder, and it is a beautiful album. Like, actually, you should just try and get into the whole album. Okay, gorgeous. Never heard of her, right. And this song is just perfection. Like, I can't listen to it without crying, basically. Aww. And it's just beautiful. And so check it out. The second one is called Twice. And it is by a band called Little Dragon. Okay. So Little Dragon are actually a Swedish band, a Swedish electro. They do like electro soul, like really eclectic music. Okay, right. And they have a lot of upbeat songs. One is called Clap Clap, and they have a song called Constant Surprises. Okay. But this is probably my favorite song of theirs, one of my favorite songs of all times, and it's called Twice. And again, it's very melancholic, very moody, but and maybe you'll find it boring, but if you listen in the right mindset or in the right mood, I think you'll get into it. And it's just, I don't know, it has a profound effect on me. So
definitely worth checking out.
Very. And their lead singer is half Japanese. I mean, they're just a really interesting, Swedish Japanese chick with a black woman voice. Okay, I thought she was black in the beginning. Right. Yeah, her name is Yukimi Nagano. Yeah, really, really cool band actually. So, yeah, Feist, How My Heart Behaves, and Twice by Little Dragon. Those are my songs.
Wonderful. We'll check that out. Okay, so in my songs of the week, we're listening to La Música Cubana.
Ooh!
So I have a thing for like sort of Latin American kind of music. And I remember just before I left for uni, this is like centuries ago, obviously. I used to listen
last year.
I used to listen to a lot of but this is a Paraguayan group. They're called Los Paraguayos, and I really loved their music. But today I want to talk about Ibrahim Ferrer. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Ibrahim Ferrer. I don't know.
Ferrer.
And the first song, I'll try not to massacre it, is called Guajuanco Callejero. If you speak Spanish and I'm wrong, forgive me. So this song is also like sort of an upbeat song. It's Cuban. It's nice. It's just nice to listen to. Really, it's not much to say on there. And the second song is by the same person, Ibrahim Ferrer, and it's called Buenos Hermanos.
Good people.
Yeah,
Okay,
good
I know a bit of Spanish.
So I watched Narcos. I watched the season 3, I think, of Narcos, and I remember hearing this song
On there,
yeah. And I knew I'd heard it before, so I went and did my research, and I found out, it's actually Ibrahim Ferrer. The album is also called Buenos Hermanos, so if you can, go listen to it. It's a really good album. And he was actually also part of Buena Vista Social Club.
Yes, I know.
Yes, exactly. They also were
legends,
brilliant.
yes.
So go check it out. Really, really good music, and that's my bit for Song of the Week. Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
So keeping the train full steam ahead. Okay, so my what the F this week is probably my favorite what the F I've ever done.
All right.
So far, like we've been doing this for 10 years, but so far it's my favorite. And shout outs to Duru, aka King Cool, for bringing this to my attention.
Woohoo, shout outs to you.
So we're hopping on a plane and heading back to Nigeria again.
Oh boy.
Yes. Naija, una don forehand again.
Naija,
you have
you do
forehand. Embarrassment. Okay, so my what the F this week is dedicated to the governor of Imo State, whose name is, I hope this is how it's pronounced, Rochas Okorocha. Okay, so he's a new governor of Imo State. Now, clearly the man is just an eccentric idiot. Now they're going to come for me, but whatever. So recently, this is somewhere back in October, he was in trouble. I mean, outside of the usual corruption, nepotism, blah, blah, blah. Right. He decided it was a perfect time to build a statue to Jacob Zuma.
Oh, in Nigeria?
In Imo State, at a cost of $1.4 million. Okay, this huge... thank you. Now, at the time that this statue went up, government workers in Imo State had not been paid for months.
Yeah, the typical nonsense.
Months. And they asked him why... First, and then other people pointed out that Jacob Zuma is under investigation. He's facing like 700 corruption charges. 700 or more. One person. So they're like, if you're going to honor anybody at this time, is it Jacob Zuma? Is he really
like, what's his justification?
A symbol? Thank you. Okay. And he's like, well, that's who he admires.
Like, what's this though?
And because he know they hear word, okay, now he said he has plans to unveil a statue now of Ellen Sirleaf Johnson.
What?
Johnson Sirleaf. As in he's unflappable, unstoppable.
He's unstable.
You know they hear, okay? Like, and that's not even my favorite / worst thing he's done, okay? So then full steam ahead now. Recently, he just appointed commissioners for Imo State. And he decided it would be a brilliant idea to make his own sister the commissioner for happiness and couples fulfillment. Yes, her name is Mrs. Ogechi Ololo, and she has a official position as the commissioner for happiness and couples fulfillment.
I cry for Africa.
Now let me go. And meanwhile, they're going to give you an office. They're going to give you cars. They're going to give you a budget.
Exactly.
So I went and now. First of all, please, she's on Twitter. Go check out her Twitter. You'll just die. Okay.
She speaks a lot of nonsense.
And she's always insulting people.
Can you imagine that?
So she said that her mandate. She's like, in times where couples divorce is at an all-time high, I will use my good office to ensure couples in Imo State will be fulfilled. And I will serve as an example to the world.
Does she have some license as a therapist or something?
Another one. Her mandate is to ensure citizens of Imo remain happy despite economic meltdown.
What?
No indication of how she's going to do that.
Any typical political talk.
Commissioner of happiness. Like, are we serious? I mean, that's why I'm like, Nigeria, Charlie, sometimes you guys do it to yourselves, man. How is this man... They keep giving him obviously what are enormous budgets since you can spend 1 million on a statue alone.
How does she still have that job though? How is she still there?
She just started.
Oh, she just started. Okay. I hope they take it away from her because that's not. That's not right.
And she's busy saying those who don't understand my brother should keep quiet. And somebody was like, Patience Jonathan never was. I mean, I can't remember whatever she said, but. Yeah, she said she needed she needs to be replaced or something like that. And then the woman was like, "It's your two front teeth that needs to be."
She's so rude too.
Yeah. So you can see this woman has no business,
No shame either.
anywhere near an official position, which should not exist, which is absolute trash. It's just a money suck. It's just a means to divert money to their own family. Commissioner for Happiness.
Nigerians, do something.
Nigeria, do better.
Something.
You
Yeah,
guys are not.
This is not right.
Don't roll over and allow this rubbish.
And I hope the way we like copying, I hope we don't start doing this thing.
Somebody
the way
was like,
we
that's
are.
a brilliant idea. Somebody
See.
is sitting there somewhere thinking, I should have thought of that.
Exactly. I should have thought of that and make some free money, you know.
So anyway, that's my WTF for the week.
Okay. That's a good one. Whoa, statues of okay then. All right then.
Commissioners for Happiness and Couple Fulfillment.
It's so dumb, man.
Couples Fulfillment. I mean,
it's ridiculous. So yeah, so my what the F is on expensive borrowed wedding.
And it's Christmas time, aka wedding season. Hello. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go.
This is no secret that weddings are becoming like more and more expensive. And so my thought is, how does a sane person go to a bank, borrow money to go have a wedding? Like, where is the sense in that? I don't get it.
You would think the logic suggests if you can't afford a wedding, that means you're not getting married yet.
Exactly. Or you're getting married like in a very small
ceremony,
wedding.
or you go and sign.
Exactly. And I don't understand. Is it that people are hoping to sort of recoup the money from the gifts that they receive? Like, I don't, and then, I mean, this is Ghana. I've been to a couple of weddings. I don't see too many people going with gifts.
They'll give you
weddings.
a blender. So if you thought you'd make some money, I guess that's why Ghanaian weddings have chairmen.
They have chairmen. Huh?
I have
so
been
lost,
to numerous Ghanaian weddings where there is a chairman for the occasion. I'm like,
and what does he do?
WTF is that? They just announce you, and I guess it's some big man. So I guess that's what is part of the straw. If you go and pick some Oga and say he should come and be chairman, you're hoping that he'll give you some 20,000 or something.
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh my goodness.
And the thing is, I think we've all heard the horror stories about vendors going to attack people for their monies because they haven't paid and all that. And I've talked to a couple of guys who say, sometimes it's the lady. You ladies, you put pressure on us to get married. But is it not, if you are in a relationship with somebody and your girl keeps putting pressure on you to get married, and you're telling her that you don't have that kind of money, shouldn't that tell you something about the girl? Shouldn't that tell that this girl is probably going to be irresponsible?
Because when you marry her too, she's obviously not going to accept the I don't have money.
Exactly. So why are you doing that? But then the other story is that a lot of women also say that, but my friend had this big wedding. If I don't have this big wedding, then people will think that, we don't have money, we're not rich, blah, 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 blah. And so my thing is that to those of you who have been married or who've been married before, like, is it really worth going into debt for a wedding? Is it really, like, is it that serious ever?
Because people...
Is it that serious?
I mean, they're just going to eat your food and leave and tell you that the food wasn't nice anyway.
I know, right?
Really?
So there's two things I want to say is that I cannot see the value of an event where your return on investment is really close to zero, especially in Ghana. You know, you're going to get some plastic cups, probably some napkins, some
Malcolm items.
I was going to say Malcolm, but I said maybe I'll say Malcolm. People say, why you say Malcolm? But Malcolm, anyway. So Malcolm with blender. And second point, I'm saying that an event where you have to spend lavishly, and mainly on guests who don't bring you any gifts, for one. Guests who are hoping for favors to go home with. Guests who are happy that they've got free food to go to. So that after their wedding, on day one of you living together, you're now sitting in your house
hungry and broke.
Hungry and broke, or eating gari and sugar, wondering where you're going to get your next money from. To those of you who are getting married, guys and girls, just be a bit more reflective. There's no need for you to go get a loan to get married. You're not going to get any return on your investment. Let's be a bit more, a bit more practical in the things we do. If you can't afford a wedding, you either wait till you have money or just do something small. After all, at the end of the day, it's just going to be the two of you.
Frankly
the people who
speaking,
came to your wedding are going to forget about you. They're probably going to say,
They're planning their next wedding that they're attending.
I know. Like, it was a nice wedding, and then they forget about you. So let's be a bit more practical. That's my what the F.
That's great. I mean, from my point of view, if I have money, honestly, I'm thinking of a honeymoon because that will benefit me and my man.
Exactly.
And my wedding ring. I don't even care about dress, whatever.
Yeah.
I like jewelry. I like nice jewelry. So if anything, the bulk of the money is going to the little honeymoon we're going to take and my nice wedding ring, which I have to wear forever.
And the thing is, I've never been a fan of huge weddings, honestly. I'd rather have
because you don't even end up not knowing the people. It's not. It's just, and then you'll be sweating and walking around.
No.
Thank you for coming, and you're just wondering, who are they?
I mean, if you have money to spend, do you? But if you don't have the money, don't go borrowing. It's so shameful. I find it so shameful.
And it lacks logic, to be honest. It really does.
Yeah, so that was my what the F this week.
Thank you.
Right.
I hope you guys are listening. Go and redo your wedding budget. It's not late.
Yes, it's not. It's never too late. It's never too late.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so in my two pesewas this week, it's going to be on English language snobbery.
Dun, 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 dun.
Or should I say English language hostility, rather. Okay, so I guess we're on a colonial theme this week. So I just want to, in order to keep it, I guess, more organized, I'm going to kind of frame it around very common lines of logic that I hear surrounding English and African countries, or not, using English and things like that. Okay, so the first thing now, and it's usually around this sort of performative Afrocentrism, blah 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 blah. So they're always on one of these. Why do we still use the white man's language? All right, let me answer that question for you real quick. Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, I don't feel like there have been any sort of ostensible benefits to having been colonized. Obviously, I think that goes without saying.
Right.
That whatever when I think of what Africa would have looked like if the white people never showed up, I think of Wakanda. Shout outs to Black Panther. It is this paradise of, technological advancement, yet still with the traditional vibes and whatever. That's what I see in my mind. Maybe it's just a pipe dream. But the thing is, we'll never know because they showed up, cut everything off, and did their own selfish thing until we got rid of them. Right. Okay. But I feel like if there is any dubious, quote unquote, benefit to having been colonized, as far as I'm concerned, the only one, or one of the few ones that we have, is the ability to speak English. Right. And I'm going to talk about why. One, English is a global language. It is a global language of commerce, of finance, of business, okay? There is a reason why Japan, Korea, countries like that pay exorbitant amounts of money to people to come and teach English in their country. Yes. Now, mind you, a country like Japan or South Korea, they have self-sustaining economies, meaning you could speak only Japanese, live in your country, and you can be a millionaire that way. Fine. It's not a problem. You could not. So they don't even need to be thinking globally in that way, but they still understand that the world is increasingly international and everything. So your ability to speak English is always going to be a benefit. So if you can afford it, you go teach your kids English. Yeah.
Okay? Even in another example, like even Germany, like Germans they're comfortable in their society.
Western Europeans speak English.
Yes, they
Holland or Sweden, stuff like that. They speak perfect English. And they don't need to, because you can get a job in Sweden, be perfectly happy speaking Swedish, but they still make the effort to do it.
Exactly. Okay? And I remember I used to teach like people, professionals. I used to teach them English because your German alone will not, I mean, it's fine, but it will not take you
all
too
the
far.
places.
Exactly. Like globally, you've got to learn some English.
So I'm saying English has allowed us to be immediately globally integrated. Yeah. Now, all the time, and again, we don't have the kind of economy where you can, unfortunately, that is completely self-sustaining. Therefore, English is what has allowed those of, when school is bad or the university is on strike, you're able to go to school abroad. Yes. You're able to get a job. And I just read some stats that Africans remit $1 billion a year.
Can you imagine
And that
that?
is that's more exceeds any sort of aid or whatever. Those Africans abroad who are propping up our economies back home.
Yeah.
Without English, it would have been very, very difficult to do
Almost
that.
impossible.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there are even two tracks. You can see those are the hustlers. They have to, then kind of walking through the desert.
Yeah.
You end up with some cleaning job if you make it kind of thing. And those who went through university and they have the English in your back pocket, when you get there, you can, do accounting. You can work in a back. You can
Exactly. There's so many things.
Your opportunities are almost limitless.
Yeah.
So when I hear people talking about, why are we speaking? I'm like, English has been a benefit. Look at India. The fact that they could speak English is what transformed. They got an entire middle class out of being able to become the go-to destination for outsourcing, tech outsourcing, call centers. It transformed the lives of like an entire millions of people. Because now they could earn dollars. It wasn't as much. All from the fact that they can speak English.
Right.
Okay, so for that perspective alone is a benefit of having English as our official language. The second point here is, when we're saying why are we still speaking English, inherent in that is the suggestion that it is a Ghanaian language that should be our official language.
And which one are we going to choose?
Talked about this last week. Yeah. You know what it's going to be?
Tree. And then everybody else is going to feel slighted, and then it's going to be like,
So for the fact that we've avoided that tribal friction alone from having, now they're like, Akans have oppressed us again. Yeah. Now we have to learn their language, blah, blah, blah. Right. From that perspective alone, again, it has given us a means of being intercommunication, even within our own country. Because Ghana has 42 dialects or whatever it is. And even though Tree is like some unofficial form of language, officially it isn't a national language. Exactly. And I don't think that has been necessarily a bad thing for this reason alone. Because if it were, that means you've marginalized everybody else once again.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree.
And for those of you saying we should make 10 languages the official language, it's impossible. It isn't. There's no country even that has more than I think official language, I think maybe Switzerland, they have 4.
Right.
And that means every document you print 4 of it. Every book you write 4. Every broadcast on television must be translated. It is exorbitantly expensive. It is not viable. It is not practical.
Right.
So from that perspective alone, it is not necessarily a bad thing that we speak English here.
I agree.
Now, the other most famous one is that don't judge my inability to speak English as a marker of my intelligence. Okay, well, this is what I have to say about that. It depends. Okay?
It depends.
It depends. Technically speaking, since 1957, English has been our official language. But Achimota School, for example, was founded in 1927. And people have been speaking English well before that. I'm not the guy. What I don't like is when they have these funny shows where they go to the markets and then they go and make fun of people. That is rubbish. You're making a mockery of people's. That I don't like. But let's say I know you went to SOS and then from SOS you went to Achimota and then
shout
you went
to SOS people.
Hey,
SOS.
And you went to Legon or whatever it is and you've emerged and you cannot write a letter in English, then I'm sorry, yes, I am judging your intelligence based on that. Because you've got either your teacher failed you or you yourself.
You failed yourself.
Because how can you class 1 to university, how many years is that? 20 years or something. One
still
subject,
haven't got it right.
And you say you can't spell 4-letter words. No. Then in that case, yes, I'm judging your intelligence.
Absolutely.
So that's what I have to say in brief about, English language. And let's I think we have this tendency to misplace our anger. You know what I mean? Let us don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. They're and even people that say, let's make Ghanaian language. Look, I think, and you can contest this if you want. I don't actually think Ghanaian languages are equipped to be languages of instruction or administration.
We're going to have to add a whole lot of new words.
We have language councils, but what do? In other countries, every time a new discovery is made or they actually update the language officially.
Right.
How do you say paradigm in P or ever?
Yes, if you know, please tell us.
Paradigm,
We'll be dying to know.
theorem, or whatever. How are you going to teach science in any Ghanaian language? Or you're going to go onto the floor of parliament to contest a bill or whatever. How can you? Your language cannot even do it. And that is not our fault. It's because we had this cut, this abrupt cut where it wasn't allowed to develop because it was pushed out in favor of whatever English language or whatever. But now that we should have also been taking steps
to
apparently
improve
even
all
the
these
Vatican
things.
have a department where they make sure Latin is kept up to date.
Right.
There is a Latin word for computer.
Look at that.
What is the Ghanaian or in any language, tell me, for computer? How do you say computer? How do you say seconds in whatever language? So when we're talking about these things, let's try and be more practical and more analytical.
Let's think about not just saying things for saying sake.
It would be lovely to have, a solid base of Ghanaian language where you can use it interchangeably with English. But there are a lot of things that have to happen before that can happen.
Yeah, that's going to be a long process.
Ghanaian Language Council or whatever it is, whoever is officially mandated to be, where are our official standard dictionaries for tree, ever, house, whatever it is, Sisa, where are they? So, I mean, we need to really think about a lot of these things and not just make these knee-jerk reactive statements.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I have to say. Come and say that I'm oppressed by my...
So that was your...
That was my 2 Pesewas.
Okay. Yeah. So my 2 Pesewas is on keeping up appearances.
And you're coming for people. First is
no,
weddings.
I know, you said sometimes people just need a little bit of a reminder to know that some of the things we're doing, we're just doing because
it's
other
not
people
Nell's way.
It's not Nelson's way also. Yeah, so my thing is that don't do things you can't afford. Simple. If your friends are going to fancy restaurants and you can't go, sit in your house, buy your kinke, buy your fish and eat it. If your colleagues are going to the Maldives and you don't have money, my friend, take your kids to Pram, go to the beach, enjoy it, and come back. Don't do things to maintain a certain image when you know, deep down, you're suffering. At some point, I think in our lives, we might have, not everybody, but we might have to scale down on the things we do. There's no shame in doing that if you know that at this point, I have to scale down. I have to work harder so that I can go back to my life. You hear a lot of stories of people going from riches to rags. Maybe necessarily not because they were just... people going from riches to rags because they were still trying to maintain this certain lifestyle.
They were unable to adjust.
Exactly. So don't do that. Just be humble. Just be true to yourself. Know that at this point in my life, I can't afford it. So I'm going to have to make changes until I can go back and afford it. Because wouldn't you rather live a stress-free life than live in some sort of, live opulently?
I have a G-Wagon, but I can't afford fuel.
I know, right?
So
buy a borrowed glory, So let's think about that. Let's think about sticking to what we can afford, be it your children's school, clothes you wear. Let's stick to what you can afford, just so that you can live a stress-free life.
Shout outs to Ghanaian celebrities. Listen, let me tell you, I know that you people don't have money. Okay, I know it. So when they come and they do all these Ghana Film Awards and then they stand on the red carpet and they're like, who are you wearing? who told you to start doing that? Who are you wearing? Who are you wearing? Who can you afford to be wearing? Some of you, they're giving them 2,000 Ghana per movie and stuff, and you come and stand there saying, I'm wearing a Dolce & Gabbana. Who gave it to you? Look. Just say my seamstress made it for me. It's gorgeous.
There's no shame in that.
Why do you want to be? Listen, Kate Blanchett or whoever, that dress she's wearing, she didn't even pay for it.
Yes, they get it for free, don't they?
Yes, as advertising to promote you. So you now coming to say, oh, my shoes are Louboutins or what? Where did you get it? Just it's not, and nobody. It's like as my cousin says, nobody gave you this pressure. I
know, but that's the thing.
We're not expecting to see you doing any of these things.
And people are stressed just because they have to maintain a certain image. Like
my hair, my Brazilian.
I know because my friends are doing
and the rappers, you people. Let me know. I know you guys don't have no money. I know it. Okay.
Some of them have money. just maybe a few, maybe one out of one.
Unless you're sock.
Somebody, yeah, I know.
Look, just keep it real. Wear your t-shirt and your jeans, Togo jeans or whatever it is. We're not here. We're here for the content. It's not really the appearance.
Yeah.
You're giving yourself stress that we've not asked you to.
Yeah,
Nobody has asked for you to
don't do that. Don't do that. So don't go and borrow to be broke. It's not worth. Or to keep up an image. It's not worth it. At the end of the day, you're just gonna be stressed. That stress you're gonna put on yourself. Nobody else is going to feel it. Just you. You alone in your corner with
because
your stress.
Of Instagram. Calm yourself. Feel free, right?
Don't do that. So that's my 2 pesos. Keeping up appearances.
Thank you.
Right.
All right, so I have a shout out.
Yes,
and this goes out to Mami Nyako.
Hey, Mami Nyako, thank
AKA
you.
Tweety,
Yeah.
AKA Dimples McGee, AKA Debo.
Oh, we've got names.
Yes, I just want to say thank you so much. Mami Nyako has been our official PR / marketing person.
Thank you. You're
super
so sweet.
hardcore. Like, she's going harder than I am on this.
Lovely.
And it always warms my heart. And you've been there for me, and you've supported everything I've ever done from day one.
Lovely.
And I love you. I miss you so much. And thank you.
Thank
you to everyone.
We appreciate
We get so many messages from you guys saying how much you
Yes.
love it, things we should talk about, things like that. I'm so supportive, but continue to share so that
please.
we don't have to lean so heavily on friends and family.
Exactly. Share with your networks and all that, you know.
But thank you. Episode 5.
Thank you.
I didn't think I would be here. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Till
for listening.
next time.
Bye-bye. If you enjoyed the episode and you're listening to us on any of our platforms, please give us a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe, and we'd also love for you to share this episode with your friends. Let's continue the conversation. We'd like to hear your feedback. Information on how to reach us on our website can be found in the description.